Hey, Vince, come on in, man. Welcome.
So I know when the food is being served.
Anyway, they would do, and I was on camera, so I volunteered.
I'm still at ABC. I've been working on news feed service.
Thank you for being here, being part of the News Geezers, you wonderful group of terrific friends. How nice it is to continue this. And before we go any further, this is Robert. Robert owns this restaurant and has done many of these for us. I don't know how he does this for 20 bucks, but it's a fantastic lunch. Big round of applause. Thank you for supporting the website. We get a lot of hits. We had 1,240 hits last month, and I think there's 280 as of this morning, hits to newsgeezers.com, so thanks for going there. And before I forget, speaking of websites, most of you probably know I'm also the treasurer of the 8-Ball Welfare Foundation, which many of you in this room have actually donated to, and which we really appreciate it. I have a brand new website that I designed with my daughter in Australia. It's up now, 8ballfoundation.com. We've helped journalists in need for 60 years now in the greater Los Angeles area. People are very generous in donating, and we try to be very generous in providing no-strings grants to those who need temporary financial fixes. Again, it's 8ballfoundation.com. Please do have a look. If you know somebody who needs help, refer them to us. We're going to make a brief departure before we get on to the main business here, which is talking about our dear friend, Gerry Ruben. But first, I want you to meet somebody who is also new, and I hadn't introduced up until now for a purpose. His name is Jim Ryerson. Some of you know Jim, who worked at Channel 7. And Jim now has some real interesting news that he wanted to pass along for the last lunch or so, and we put it off till now. He won't be long, but he wants to talk to you about a fascinating subject all of us are hearing about now, travel to Cuba. How do you get there? What's involved? And Jim is right across it. Jim, come on up.
In 1998, I went to Cuba for the first time. Don't tell George Bush, but I went throughout the 2000s. I've made more than 30 trips to Cuba. I've done 4 documentaries on Cuban culture, music, art, and as of this last December, things have changed in Cuba. You don't have to sneak in anymore, and so I started taking trips there. I took 2 trips with a group that I'm involved in called Veterans for Peace, and I took 2 trips earlier this year. I have another one set for January of next year, which is already sold out, and another one for March of next year, which also is going to be sold out. I've got some flyers out here to tell you how to get in touch with me and how to do the right things to get into Cuba. But if you are interested, I would just say I'd be happy to talk to anyone about it after the meeting. But if you want to go, you should go soon, because the American Airlines have not opened the open travel. They don't have the licenses yet. Once they start flying direct flights from Des Moines to Havana, it's going to get kind of crazy. Right now, the hotels on the island are sold out until May of 2016. So we've got a couple of trips. I've got rooms reserved already. Anybody who is interested, please come and talk to me. I've got some flyers I'd be happy to give to you, and I'd like you folks to experience the Cuba that I know. Thank you.
Actually, the only other thing on the agenda is Gerry Ruben. Gerry Ruben passed away, as you know, age 80, after a lingering illness which recurred back in March and was in and out of hospitals between then and when he passed away, which was August 30th, am I correct? 31st. Please come up, Kim. You should know that Kim is, I think it's fair to say, the daughter that Gerry never had. She looked after him in his final period on earth better than anybody could ever have a right to be looked after. She's a godsend, and Gerry knew that and always appreciated it, and so did the rest of us. The soul and heart that she poured into taking care of Gerry is something that none of us who were close to the situation will ever forget. I will be forever grateful. Kim?
Hi, everyone. I finally know the geezers. I've been hearing a lot about you from Gerry Ruben, who I talk to every day for I don't know how many years, and he always wanted me to come with him to a geezer event. I'd be like, Gerry, I don't know if I'm old enough for that. Geezers? What do you mean? And he would say, oh, come on down. And I had just, I think, had a baby, then I had another baby, and then I had another baby, and then I just never made it here. And then I had the good fortune of meeting Bob Tarlow, and I was planning on taking Gerry to the last geezer event. And I would have finally been here with him, and he was too sick that day. And I'm so sorry that I'm here today without him, because you all meant so much to Gerry. As you all know, that his family was really the news business, and he would talk about the people in the news business, and a lot of you folks, he would call me after every geezer event and say, go online and look at the pictures, and this guy was there, and this guy was there, and I'd be like, yeah, I wasn't even in the business at that point, but he was so excited, and that was one of the beautiful things about Gerry that I'll always remember, is how he would find something about a person, like maybe something your father did or your mother did or your brother, and he would research it and get excited about it, and he'd see you in the hall at work and say, I found some, like Marta Waller's mother. Remember that, Jeff? He's so excited about her career as an actress, and he just would get so excited about people. He loved people, and he loved their stories, and I'm going to forever miss that. And I know all of you, I'm sure, had many conversations with Gerry, and I'm sure that he really appreciated all of your friendships because he really wanted me to be here. So I thank Bob Tarlow for this beautiful display and for remembering a man who was, to me, just such a good friend, a once-in-a-lifetime friend, a friend I could always rely on and trust and talk to about anything. And the simple conversations about day-to-day activities are something that I'm really, really going to miss. So to the news geezers, nice to meet you all. Thanks for having me.
I've never met anybody in this business that was more meticulous about himself and about life. And the news business was his life. He was married to the news business. And the memories that I have are the fights that Hal Fishman and Gerry Ruben would have during the show. I have to put levity in this or I'll never get through it. But then they'd always wind up, good friends and wonderful together. They were an amazing team. I mean, Gerry Ruben, in my opinion, made Hal Fishman who Hal Fishman was, because he designed a newscast and put a newscast together that was aimed at Hal Fishman's strengths. And that was his magic. That's what I think may be missing from today's TV news, without sounding like, oh God, TV news today is awful and blah, 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 and it's all traffic accidents and fires, which is true. But he would weave, and he used to call it the invisible thread. Remember, John? And all of you remember the invisible thread. The stories were put in a certain order that made sense. so that you could follow along and understand what it was all about and what was going on. And it was important for people. We felt it was a calling to know what was going on and to inform people. We took it seriously. Gerry was somebody who did take it very, very seriously. But he was always fun to poke fun at because he was so set in his ways and what he did. But we all lost really a good friend. And I cannot tell you how much I miss him. I cannot tell you what a void is in my life because of this. And you think about it, 46 years of friendship. And as I did with Hal, even when I went to KCOP for 6 years or however long it was, I talked to Hal Fishman every day. I talked to Gerry Ruben almost every day during that period and until the end. And to see him decline and go through this terrible disease was as hard as anybody could take. But he was a wonderful man, the best in the business. As I always say to Warren Cheragino, the same thing. He was the best producer and executive producer I've ever had the pleasure of working with. So here's to Gerry Ruben.
You see, Joel, I didn't sell it. You want to come up? Stage 6 is ripped right off the building, and Gerry had it. I don't know who gave it to him. Obviously, somebody when they remodeled and changed the stage numbers around. But Joel Tater directed one heck of a lot of newscasts on Stage 6 or from the skeleton trucks, which were parked next to Stage 6 way back when. And when I saw this out on the patio, I asked Kim, can I take this? Because I know a guy who's going to absolutely love having this thing.
I walked in and I said, did you bring the Stage 6 sign? Because Bob had told me that he told me that he had this and he was going to give it to me. And I said, do you have the Stage 6 sign? And he said, oh, geez, I sold that on eBay this week. $100. I worked in the mornings and Gerry worked in the evenings, and I didn't see him much. But he always got there early. He was a diligent worker. He put together a show every night that was so filled with important news. It was not trivia. It was all the important stories of the day. He knew how to put a show together where it wasn't so much about what you wanted to see, it's what you needed to see. And another thing he would do, I don't know how he did it because of the hours he worked, but if he saw something on the morning news, he would call right after the show at 9 o'clock in the morning and he would say, hey, I like that. And I said, what are you doing up? Because, you know, he didn't get through till 11 and then probably didn't get to bed till 2 or whatever. But he was very complimentary about all of the other shows at KTLA. He was a true professional. And as Bob said, he will be very dearly missed because there are very few people who have the skills that he showed to all of us.
A lot has been said about Gerry over the last few weeks. Those of you who were at the Celebration of Life heard so much of an outpouring that I can't really add a whole hell of a lot to anything that's been said here, except that I endorse it all completely in every aspect of him, his professional work and his personal being, and the things about the idiosyncrasies that he had did bring to mind the time that Hal Fishman was being honored by B'nai B'rith in Orange County on Sunday afternoon, and Gerry and Marta Waller and I went down to witness this. The other person being honored was Leonard Nimoy for his portrayal of Mel Mermelstein in the Institute of Historical Review suit. In any event, Gerry never made left turns, and therefore the three of us piled into the utility van at the news department, and Marta and I had to split the driving because Gerry would do nothing but sit in the back seat the whole way, both directions. And Marta and I were having a good time laughing at him about that, and he was enjoying it too. But it was one of his mantras that never make a left turn. And he had these things called Gerryisms, like Jeff mentioned the invisible thread. And one of the Gerryisms came to mind actually to Craig Hume, another ex-KTLA news director, at the Celebration of Life, that he passed on to me from Gerry. And I will lay that on you now. Gerry said that when you have to make a speech, be prompt, be brief, be gone.
I first met Gerry Ruben in May of 1979. So I'm 10 years behind Jeff. I only knew Gerry for 36 years. I came there from Channel 11 where Chris Martirosian and Lou Rothbart were kind enough to give me a full-time job over at KTLA from KTTV. So in getting there, of course, I was the desk assistant and courier, and as a desk assistant courier, you have a lot of different responsibilities. Picking up, at that time, we picked up film and delivered it to the film house, and delivered crews and picked up reporters and everything else. But Chris and Lou made it very clear to me that my number one most important job as the courier or messenger was getting Gerry Ruben's dinner. That had to take precedent over everything else. So Chris walked me out to Gerry for the first time and introduced me. And he said, "Gerry, this is John, and John's going to get you your dinner." And it was like, "Oh, John. You got to get me a fresh bun. You're going to McDonald's, I need a fresh bun. No wilted lettuce." He was very specific about it. It was like, okay, and oh, you have to go to a certain McDonald's. So I had to go to a certain McDonald's to get and special order his burger with a fresh bun and no wilted lettuce. Okay, easy enough. I went and got him his dinner and brought it back, and it was, thank you and all that. And then the next day I walk out and figure, okay, well, Gerry, where should I get you your dinner tonight? Well, it's McDonald's, and be sure, special order. I don't want to, it's got to be a fresh bun, no wilted lettuce. It's like, yeah, no, I got that from yesterday. Okay, one got it. So now I'm doing this through the whole week, and every day it's, I figured he's going to send me someplace else, but no, it's always to McDonald's, always a fresh bun, always no wilted lettuce. So on the final day, I'm walking in, and I guess Gerry had finally gotten used to me, and I'm walking in with my McDonald's bag for him. It's, "John! Here comes John with Gerry's dinner." And it's like, "Hi. Here you go." But it was almost the highlight of his day, was getting his dinner. But he never left his desk. That's why. He was always sitting there, never got up, never left, unless Hal walked in the room, and then it was 10 hut for Hal. And that was the only time you'd ever see him get out of his chair.
I was in kind of a unique position in that I came to KTLA and I worked with Gerry Ruben, and he left, and I became the news director, and I wound up hiring him back. So at one point we had kind of a role reversal going on. But if you worked at Channel 5, you worked at Channel 2, or you worked at Channel 11, anytime over the last 40-something years, you either worked with Gerry Ruben or you certainly heard of Gerry Ruben. And I can only say there was no other producer that I ever worked with who was quite like Gerry Ruben. He was phenomenal. Some producers are what we call show stackers. They sit and they just kind of line up the stories. And that was not what Gerry was about. He had full and total control over that program. Aside from that, he was also a wonderful person. He was a great guy to work with. I can honestly say I never heard him yell at anybody. He might pull you aside and criticize you, or maybe tell you how he wanted something, or have you make something a little different. But there was never any cruel. I don't think there was a cruel bone in his body. He was a great people manager. He got you to the point where you really wanted to work. You wanted to make the show good for him. You wanted to make the show as good as it can be because you knew that was the way Gerry wanted it. Excuse me. In the last few months, when he was declining, that was the saddest time, and I think the hardest time for Gerry, because of the fact that this was the one thing where he couldn't be in control. When he couldn't be the producer, he didn't have control of everything that was going on. And so it was difficult for him. But I think he finally realized, and he had the comfort of a lot of the friends who were there, who were concerned about him, and I realized that it was kind of this pay it forward thing. All the people who he had known all his life, they all came back. Everybody had a vested interest in Gerry, and I think he knew that, and I think he felt that all the way to the end.
And when KTLA became a non-union shop, there were opportunities for us to have interns that had an opportunity to learn to be a writer. And he was so patient with them, and he became very close to so many of them. And it was nice to see them when they went to another station where they would wind up getting a better situation. But he was that kind of a guy. I have never seen a news producer, executive producer, ever given the leeway that Gerry had. And it's because he earned it. Every station I was with, every news director, I think, tried to kind of have their say-so, but not with Gerry Ruben, not at KTLA.
I'll leave with one Gerry Ruben story. You had to be there. He came in the newsroom can I tell this another second and a half? A second and a half. It's more reminders of the old girlfriend. And he came back and he said, he went down to some little restaurant to get a bite. And he came back in and he said, "Oh, I just met a woman that you won't believe. She's bright. She's articulate. She's really good looking. She's really charming. Oh, God, is she wonderful." I said, "Gerry, I never heard you talk that way about anybody, never mind anybody else." Suddenly we cut to the newsroom door, and the girl of his dreams that he never met, he walked in. Yeah, I guess you had to be there. But she walked in and he said, "That's her." And she was the girlfriend that was about to marry the anchorman for the show that he was producing. It was a story that ended with silence, but it had to be one of the great moments in the newsroom. Gerry was a wonderful guy. I shall miss him, and we all shall miss him. And in all seriousness, the tributes today have been wonderful. And it's so sad to know that we'll never see him again, not in this life. And so anyway, thank you for letting me share.
I just want to say that I worked with Gerry from 78 to 80. I was an AD and an upgrade director there. And I didn't see him again for another 3 decades. And I reconnected with him here at the News Geezers about 3 years ago. And we had a great many conversations, and we renewed our friendship. And that was because of you and all the work you do here, putting this together every 3 or 4 months. So thank you for doing this, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have reconnected with an old friend. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ross. All of you should thank each other. You're the ones who come out here, and I warmly appreciate it. David Sheehan here? There he is. You made it. The traffic was a killer, I know. Thank you. David's going to go around with Vince Mack and do some one-on-ones like we did before. You can talk about Gerry or anything else that David asks you about, and we'll try to incorporate it all into the video.
So, what does it mean to you to be a news geezer?
News Geezers is a unique group of Los Angeles people in, well, I won't say TV news, Los Angeles people in news broadcasting who have spent their time together working in the news business, sometimes as competitors, sometimes as compatriots, and this is a chance to get together and a social aspect, be together, share our remembrances, share each other, and it's just a wonderful experience.
Being a first-timer, you now qualified as a geezer. How's that feel?
It feels great, because after I turned 75 last December, I knew I was old. And now then, to have an organization like this of old-timers and doing it with a little more class with the geezers. I love it. Great people. Seeing people I haven't seen in a long time is so great.
We are like the survivors. Do you have that sense of things?
I think so, because you look around the room and there's some history in this room. Big time history. People that accomplished a great deal. And to see them still around, it's too bad they're not on the air with some of the junk we're seeing on television these days.
Tell us, what does it mean to be a news geezer?
You have to have been in the business longer than a year.
Longer than a year.
Yes, and then you become a geezer. So I think most of us have filled that role, and so that we're called geezers. But no, 11 months won't do.
Right.
No, you have to be a whole year, and then you're a geezer. So it doesn't matter. It's not your age. It's how long you've been in the business.
Is it a status kind of situation or just an old timer's home?
Oh, no, no, no. So many people want to get in this organization, but we have so many members we had to close it off. It's full up.
I see.
It's full up.
This is the elite then, huh?
This is the creme de la creme.
Creme de la creme, I love it.
Yes.
Nice to see you
Thank
again,
you.
young man.
Thank you.
I just played a reporter in a movie, in a Brad Pitt movie.
You did?
You know, called The Big Short. You know this movie that's coming out? The
No,
Big
but you
Short?
look a lot like Brad Pitt.
No, he wasn't there then.
And you could be mistaken for Brad Pitt.
No, I don't think so.
Many women, I bet, have mistaken you for Brad Pitt.
No.
We're here today with Doug Kriegel, a mastermind of all kinds of investigative reporting on the news, on the TV news. How many years?
40 years as a newsman.
40 years. What was your primary specialty, the one that you loved and felt nearest and dearest to your heart?
Well, I was the money editor at
Yeah, I
Channel
know.
4 for a long time.
Yeah. What did that mean to be the money editor? Is that like the business editor or just
No,
dollars?
no, it's not business. Any story that related to the local economy, that's what I did. People, money, and work, but not money tips. In fact, people who took my money tips, they're all now totally broke.
Oh, is that true?
No, I'm only kidding.
That was a joke, ladies and gentlemen. So how does it feel to be a geezer?
I enjoy it.
I mean, what does it mean to you? You're a geezer. You're a news geezer.
I'm an older fella.
You're an experienced man, though.
I am. I have a lot of experience, and that age, well, let me put it this way. I'm 2 years younger than Gerry Brown. Gerry Brown's doing the best job of his career.
Exactly.
And so I'm just hitting my stride right now.
And what is that stride? What are you up to?
Well, I did stories on the Dodgers channel, on the history of the Dodgers. And I also have a broadcast on the PBS station called The Drive-By Economist.
Oh.
And that's about stories involving the local economy, people, money, and work.
Oh, which PBS?
PBS SoCal, KOCE.
Oh, right. So you're still on the air.
Yeah.
You silly guy. What we're talking about here today is what's the meaning of being a news geezer? How would you define that?
If you want a serious answer, I guess it's somebody who has spent his or her life in news. Most of us come from the ranks of television, some are from radio, some from newspapers. An occasional wire service person has come into the mix, and it's a place for a lot of us who have been retired from some like other people I know have been retired for a long time. Me, I just retired this year, but it's a place to go back to on a quarterly basis and reconnect with friends. And I think that tribute to KTLA executive producer Gerry Ruben, who died a few months ago, really exemplified that today.
What does it mean to you personally?
It means I spent my entire life working in the news business. And now that I'm not in the news business, I still feel like I still am. And seeing all my friends here is really great.
Is that a good thing or what, to have spent your entire life working on TV news?
I don't know how to make money any other way. I'm studying acting right now.
Are you really?
I really am studying acting
Good for
in San
you.
Diego. Yeah, might as well do something I've always wanted to do.
Turn the page for a new chapter, huh?
Absolutely,
All right.
absolutely, true.
That's the spirit. Very
Okay.
good. Well, you're looking great.
Well, thank you.
Well, I guess the key question is, why are you here, you young people? This is a gathering of geezers. The word geezers means, old timers, experienced, men of wisdom, men who have worked, and women who have worked for years and years, all their lives maybe, in this business called TV news. And you're definitely not a geezer, so why are you here?
Well, the people who come here started news in LA and everything, so they have really good input, they have really good advice, and they've moved from print to radio to broadcast, so they know how to move with the medium and can give us pointers on how to be flexible, how to push the limits, how to push ourselves. So coming here and getting that advice from them, and even the connections that they have, because they know people currently in the industry, they started it. So getting those connections and getting to know them helps us out in our careers.
Are you really able to do that? Do they give you advice at a little luncheon thing like this?
They do give us advice, and they tell us how to push into the electronic world, because TV might be dying, but pushing towards the electronic age. And then one of the guys here actually got his internship this summer, so they actually do help us out.
How did that happen?
Well, I mean, again, one thing that I've learned from being here is connections. And I talked to Bob and I asked him, do you know anyone in DC that could maybe help me find an internship. And he goes, absolutely. I got in
Bob
contact-
Long.
Bob Long, exactly. So Bob Long helped me land an internship.
Bob
with
Long was my boss at Channel 2 and again at Channel 4, and he's now running Voice of America.
Yes, correct. Yeah. So I talked to Bob Long, and he said, you have an internship with NBC4 in Washington. So I was there this past summer. Yeah, it was great.
How was that?
It was wonderful. I was able to meet a lot of great people. I was able to sit down and talk to Lester Holt a little bit the second night after he took over Nightly News.
Yeah.
And I got to learn a lot from reporters, from the producers, everyone there.
Well, you're on your way then already.
Well, I mean, I am a senior, so I hope to have a job after I graduate. So
As what?
Again, I like to tell stories, so there's a lot of positions out there that help tell those stories. So I'm open to behind the camera, in front of the camera, wherever I need to be.
No, come on. You want to be on camera. You want to be a reporter.
Well, I mean, at school I produce and I also do some anchor stuff. So
Yeah,
I
with a
like
face
both
like
sides.
that. You look in the mirror tomorrow morning, or tonight, or look in the mirror anytime. You can go to the restroom. They have a mirror here, and you'll see that's a face born, created, structured for TV.
Oh well, thank you.
What are your hopes?
Well, my hopes are to work in television, perhaps more narrative, but this is like a great opportunity to just come in and talk with all these professional people that have so much experience, and it's just like this whole world that's opened up. So it's
What
really
do you mean
fun.
more narrative?
Like, you know, like scripted television.
Oh,
like
sitcoms.
drama.
Oh,
Yeah.
You got a great smile with
Yeah.
dimples and all that, so you want to make people laugh, huh?
I would love to. Yeah, yeah.
The news doesn't do that very often,
No, but it's fun and it's steady, and I don't know.
but not a lot of laughs.
It's putting up a fight, though. I'm considering. Yeah.
I made people laugh now and then. I did news for 40 years, all covering entertainment, and so I was allowed to be a little funny now and then, but I never got as funny as I could have been. Oh, whatever that is. Thank you, guys. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you get some. Keep that face though. Don't sell it. Don't trade it in.
Okay.
Keep clean shaven.